All right, however you received the president's address tonight, one thing should not be missed. The president scored a major media coup. And what am I talking about? He got all the major networks to carry his address, galvanizing the attention of the entire country. And he accomplished something else. He got two of the least popular politicians in the nation to respond to him on his terms.
He wants to raise the stakes and make the Democrats the co-owners of this shutdown. And I think Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are walking right into the trap. He brings everyone in, and this is the Trump trap. He negotiates through brinksmanship, and that's just not a way to get to a rational ending.
Okay, but this is rational?
The president is rejecting these bipartisan bills, which would reopen government, over his obsession with forcing American taxpayers to waste billions of dollars on an expensive and ineffective wall.
We don't govern by temper tantrum. President Trump has appealed to fear, not facts, division, not unity. There's an obvious solution. Separate the shutdown from arguments over border security.
Okay, now, the contrast should be glaring for anyone who watched tonight. The president was really sober in his address. He was extremely serious. And he genuinely believes that a wall is needed as part of a larger border security policy. That's what he campaigned on. That's what he won on. Democrats do not give a damn about securing the border. For them, this is all about scoring political points. And, of course, about 2020.
We have always been willing to talk to the president about border security, and many of us have supported some pretty massive investments in border security in the past. But we can't do that while the government is shut down.
We need to open up government and then negotiate, not the other way around.
We believe in secure borders, but we want the government open.
Once the government is open, I would support looking at a broader compromise on immigration.
All right. Don't believe anything they're telling you there for just not even a millisecond. The Democrats are targeting the 800,000 government workers on furlough. They're targeting them. What do I mean? They refuse to move even a millimeter, the Democrats, toward a common-sense compromise with the president. Now, remember, a year ago, they were willing to give him $25 billion for a wall. Schumer ultimately pulled that off the table. But they were willing to do that. Now, today, they can't even come up with a measly $5 billion. Think of all the waste, fraud, and abuse in this town that they could trim away to get that $5 billion. We'll talk about that in a bit. The president has shown a willingness to compromise. You heard it tonight. In a funding request to the Senate Appropriations Committee this week, the president asked for items that are also important to Democrats. He alluded to this tonight. Of course, $800 million for humanitarian needs at the border, and that includes medical support and additional facilities to house migrants, which, frankly, a lot of Americans probably think would be better spent on inner-city youth and our veterans. But nevertheless, the president's willing to go there. The president's also requesting $675 million for new technology to detect and stop the flow of illegal drugs over the border. Democrats have long said they wanted that. But Democrats don't want to have an honest conversation about border security. They are now the party of obstruction, and everything must bend to their resist Trump goals. The Hill reports that their latest strategy is to jam up the Senate by refusing to consider any legislation until the government is reopened.
This cannot be business as usual, that we shut down a quarter of the government and just leave it shut down. It's an incompetent strategy.
Now, just to give you a sense of how dogmatic, how rabid, and how fanatical this resistance to Trump has become, look no further than the Democrats who voted against considering a bill to support Israel earlier today. What? So we're not going to support oppose boycotts against Israel because Trump wants to do a deal on the border wall? How is that governing in a mature way? Now, I'm sure the new anti-Semitic wing of the Democratic Party was thrilled about this development in the Senate, but nevertheless, most Americans aren't. Again, don't focus on what they say. It sounds fine, kind of reasonable. Watch what they do. The Democrats want this shutdown to go on as long as possible to divide as many Republicans from the president as they can. They want to peel one off after another. and then they want to ratchet up the political pressure. Our safety and our security, forget that. That's damned. If they wanted the government reopened, the Democrats could negotiate with the president and reopen the government tomorrow. He's already compromised on the structure of the wall, and he's dropped his asking price, as we know, way down. And while the Democrats feign concern over spending a few billion on the border wall, $5.7 billion, the coastal wonder twins of their party, Governor Newsom of California and Mayor de Blasio of New York, have all kinds of money. They find pots of money for the health care of illegal immigrants.
We will never waver in our pursuit of guaranteed health care for all Californians.
Health care is a human right. In this city, we're going to make that a reality. In this city, we're taking that ideal and putting it into practice. From this moment on in New York City, everyone is guaranteed the right to health care.
Well, they have no problem finding all that money falling from the sky to spend on the well-being and health of illegal aliens. My friends, like everything else, this is all about politics for the Democrats. Pretty much every demographic group in the country right now is better off than they were just a few years ago. Think about that. But the Democrats, they don't have any answer to that. It's not like they're going to go out there and argue, okay, we're going to offer these three policies, and they're going to raise your standard of living to a higher level than President Trump has been able to do. No, they've given up on that. All they have to run on is this shutdown and their opposition to the wall. Oh, sorry, and Trump's a racist. That's all they have. Oh, and for an added bonus, they actually believe that this stalemate with the shutdown furnishes them with another political weapon to, guess what, further the real nirvana for Americans, because this is really going to help your life get better, the impeachment agenda. Yes, Trump's threat to end the shutdown by declaring a national emergency, which never happened, and building the wall himself, could hasten the Democrats' ultimate desired end.
This kind of abuse of power may also open up other measures for Congress, because this, in fact, could hit the tripwire of abuse of power, which is also one of those things that could lead to a presidential impeachment.
I heard that this morning. I was like, wow, you're really spinning it out. While the Democrats are straining to squeeze the last bit of political juice from the shutdown, the president's doing the right thing. He's focused on the security and the sovereignty of the American people and their prosperity. It's a posture that's good policy, but in time, it's also going to prove to be good politics as well. Mark my words. And that's The Angle.